Just Maple? Okay, I weeded out half of my potential audience there. That's great. This is one of the videos I wanted to make first, so here I am delivering you a more personal, not essay. It's not an essay. I am too misinformed and lazy for those, or I don't know how people do actual video essays. Maybe they just, never mind. This is not the topic, all right? This is not the topic at all. So the 3 movies I'll talk about is Coraline, 9, and ParaNorman, in that order. I can't ever forget about these movies that I watched as a kid, and these really stuck with me straight into adulthood. I am making this video. I'm pretty sure my generation grew up with these movies as well. If you haven't, well, you should go watch them, and before I start rambling, just go watch them in whatever order you want. I'm not here to gatekeep you or anything. So, here's a short one. First off, we start with Coraline, the movie, which is not made by Tim Burton. I feel like I had to throw that out there. A lot of people think it's Tim Burton. I used to think it was Tim Burton that made this, but it was originally written by Neil Gaiman, and directed here by Henry Selick. It is an incredibly beautiful movie. Fuck. It is an incredibly beautiful movie. Very good to traumatize the kids or start their obsessions with gothic horror and other types of rabbit holes and stop motion and just creepy stuff, alright? Just the horror rabbit hole. If you're gonna traumatize your children in any way, you gotta do it tastefully, and I think this movie succeeds. Almost. I am still astounded that they got away with the almost naked women, practically naked women. I assume it's meant to be taken as grotesque anyway. It's not supposed to be like, ooh, look at that. That's pretty good. No, it's meant to be just like, oh, that's gross. That's weird. Or it's just a kink. I can't tell nowadays. This movie starts with a very creepy visual of the Coraline doll being made. For merchandise, of course. You have no idea what or why it's being made, but the creepy atmosphere and the music gives the audience an unnerving feeling throughout the opening of the movie. Great hook, honestly. Before we get into the actual meat of the movie, I gotta talk about the music composed by Bruno Coulet. The French in me got out for a second. I don't know what just happened there. The music really elevates the movie to iconic levels of popularities. I'm not gonna say the music is the only reason it's that popular, no. But it perfectly fits to the movie. And I really wish more movies had this kind of eerie soundtrack, but what made it popular was obviously the easy on the eyes aesthetics and unique designs of the atmosphere and characteristics, if that makes any sense. I also think Coraline's design with the blue hair was perfect for her character type, clashing against the dark, grimy real world. Just a very great character design for this world, and there's a lot of great character designs in this movie. Just a lot of weird looking people in this movie. Speaking of the world, I mean, not our world, the movie's world. I love the contrast between the two worlds so much. The dark, creepy, and boring atmosphere of the real world, just bland colors, and the fantastical, pretty world, which, shocker, was a literal spider's web. But if I talked your ears out too much, and you blanked out there, I like the vibes. Now onto the actual movie. Very freaky movie. No, I don't mean the adults. They're weird. It starts off with our main family moving into a new place, and the place is haunted, and their child gets possessed by, oh wait, wrong movie, hold on. Kind of. The place is kind of haunted. It has this Alice in Wonderland tunnel that leads to some creepy button-obsessed woman. Such an interesting concept. Like, this is so cool. This is such a cool concept. And this works so well as a kid's movie especially, taken from those old messed up Disney stories or folklores. But Coraline is fed up with her boring life and her parents not being perfect. Then Coraline, not Caroline, meets YB, which stands for Why Born, which actually is insane. That's actually kind of tragic. Wow. I honestly don't even think I need to recap anything, but I'll note some things I liked either way. I like the neighbor characters a lot. We got the Russian cheese guy, because as we know, Russians love cheese. There were the 2 ladies that stuffed their dogs after they died, which, wow. Okay. I love older kids movies where they just don't care. It's hilarious. The old ladies were nice though. They seemed nice. They had like a, never mind. I was gonna say they had a comfortable vibe, but they don't. They don't have a comfortable vibe. It's literally just a bunch of crazy cat ladies, but dogs. I feel like the characters in the real world are a lot more strange than the characters in the fantastical world, which is an interesting choice. Very interesting. Yeah, normal people are weird. Totally off the walls. Totally bonkers. I can't believe I just said bonkers. Then we have the boring old parents. I like the parents a lot. They were just regular human beings, like tired human beings. I gotta say, guys, I especially am a big fan of the mother. I like how I said I was gonna talk about the story and I just went back to talking about the characters. I'll finish the section off. Might as well. So they got the whole teenage girl aspect right. I'm pretty sure she's like 11, straight up toddler. They got the attitudes for most of the characters down to a T. I love how much all the characters stand out in this movie, but it wouldn't be a perfect creepy children's movie without this one element. That's right, it's a mother. Other mother is some cosmic monster, essentially a spider trying to lure children in with false sense of securities or insecurities. No, not that spider. The kid-friendly one. She's really unsettling, and I know this thing gave many of you guys nightmares. She is a pretty grotesque villain in every manner of uncomfortableness, and it's so good. I love the way they build up this character, and from how she starts off by feeding this little girl a false paradise, giving Coraline everything she ever wanted. My headcanon is that the other mother was going to eat Coraline anyway, but sewing buttons and leaving it at that is creepier for people's imagination. I also find it interesting that the other mother gave the other characters free will. For example, other YB or other father, or even the other Russian guy. All these other world characters have their own free will because other mother really wanted a world where people loved her at their own volition, right? But they never did. That's my guess. I think it's obvious actually, but I'm just really dumb. We also have our favorite little guy, the black cat. I love this cat. Extremely sassy little guy, which is the most accurate cat characteristics ever. It's either that or the cat is just a straight up crackhead. The plot itself is a very simple folktale about not going to the suburbs because it is scary and has scary spider mommy ladies. Or maybe I am taking it a little too literal, maybe. The movie after the introduction immediately starts unraveling with the Coraline doll being placed into our protagonist's life. Woo, yippee, love creepy dolls that follow me around. I need friends. Then the movie demonstrates that her life is extremely lame and boring, and we don't really have to wait long before she gets everything she ever wanted in the other world, and the plot travels seamlessly. It is extremely rewatchable and has a lot of details in the background or throughout the movie. It's also a lot more enjoyable and funnier watching as an adult. It's not as creepy as you imagine it as a kid. You're like, holy shit, I don't remember any of this when I watched it as a kid. So it just feels like a fever dream, or a revisited fever dream. Or deja vu, actually. I think it's a better word. I'm sure you all know the rest of the plot, so I don't really have to explain it. I only wanted to talk about how nice and easy the transition was from the worlds and then to get us wrapped into this little story. Speaking of little story, our next movie is... Wait, I'm not done yet. I forgot a bit. I like that Coraline had to find the eyeballs of dead children, but it was just one eyeball each. The biggest plot hole and the biggest part of the movie is that Coraline had to find one eyeball each from each children, which I can't believe I just talked about dead children's eyeballs. But were they all pirates or something? Why only one eyeball? I feel like it's such a big, funny plot hole that I just can't be ignored. Maybe there's some explanation that they only needed one eyeball to pass on or something, I don't know. But I'll dismiss the plot hole, if you will. Then the movie has a really fun final fight with the game of finding stuff, like I said, the eyeballs. The stakes weren't too crazy considering there was no time limit. At least for the audience, there was no set time limit. At least until we get to this really cool visual scene with the world turning white and blinding my eyeballs while I sat in the dark. I am now a ghost. Hello! So we get a spider boss fight with other mom afterwards, and has some really stunning scenery with the spider web and the white background. After that, the movie ends with Coraline leaving the other world and is all perfectly fine. Until, may I add, hand. Yeah, the final confrontation is of course a hand. YB saves the day and they both beat this monster, well, hand monster, and live happily ever after. It is a very sweet ending, especially with the grandma. I think grandma visiting the home where she lost her sister was a very sad and conclusive ending for that character, which we didn't see until the very end, which I think was a perfect writing decision because, you know, it would be like, oh, because we wouldn't know why she's so grumpy about her, you know, sister dying. It was a very cute ending, but the movie was so eerie for my child brain that I did not remember this movie having a happy ending whatsoever. I always thought that Coraline got eaten alive. I know it's a very iconic and very well talked about movie, but I forget how rewatchable it is, or how watchable it is. So I rate this movie a probably most definitely ruin a generation of children out of 10.
What?
I just want to let my parasocial audience of one know that I'm running on absolutely zero sleep once again. Absolute. This is a typical Maple moment, as you'll see. So here we have it, the very underappreciated and unofficial Little Big Planet movie. Little sack people just playing around, wandering the post-apocalyptic death of humanity world. This is just a George Orwellian concept, but easily digestible for kids. I love extra horrors on machine versus man. Subtlety, because we never learned from it. But I really do think the CGI is great. The humans not age well, but the puppets and scenery looks good, considering the products. It has some very mature concepts and sceneries. I mean, can sceneries be mature? I don't know. Showing a dead mother and her baby at the very start of the movie, demonstrating the already grim setting we were placed upon. This movie was a little ahead of its time because it's so good. It's so just, it gnawed at my childlike brain. I wanted more of this, but so I played the game, and it turns out the game was a little different. It was a really cool bomb level though, and Titanic. That was fun. It's such a genuinely metal movie and does not shy away from death to show how depressing the literal end of the world can be, and the beautiful tragedy of the concept. Oh, it's also perfect because Elijah Wood plays the main character, 9. Cast it into the fire! No.
Oh my god.
I could find a Frodo line, but that was the first thing that came to me from the Pits of Mordor, the bad ones. So this movie is a relatively short movie compared to the others, about 1 hour and 10 minutes. Shorter than my Star Wars videos, so that says absolutely nothing. To make the connection between this and Coraline though, this one also starts with a doll being created, so that's a neat correlation. A possessed doll too, yeah. This video isn't useless at all. This movie usually came out with the Coraline bundle and ParaNorman, so I would always watch this back to back with Coraline and the next movie we'll talk about here, but I just had to, which is why I'm only doing these 3 movies right now. If you guys like this, I will do another trio, then another, then another. All the characters in this movie are just character types, well, caricature types. And they give a pretty good reason for that. The reason being that they're all part of one man's soul, which is so extremely cool and clever and gives a good reason why they are the way they are. And technically this whole movie is about one super fleshed out character. Case closed. Case opening again because I'm still talking about the movie. So the characters are named after numbers from 1 through 9, and the machine, spooky. I'm telling you, it's something out of George Orwell's works. My frame of references suck. The characters represent different parts of humanity. 9 represents courage, 2 represents curiosity, 1 represents cowardice and survival, and 3 and 4 represents knowledge, 5 represents loyalty or traveling. Map. Yeah, the map. 8 represents strength, and 6 represents art or schizophrenia. And 7 represents a woman. Joking, by the way. She represents defense and I think aura. I don't know. She's just like the badass of the movie. Which all make up the scientist guy, which is cool. I can't get over how cool of a concept that is. Just the souls being spread out by this one person. That's awesome. Again, this whole video is just me fangirling over how much I like these movies. This whole world is just so bitter and atmospherical in a tragic way. No, not our world. The movie world. War on machine and robots has been done a million times now, but this is a full-on like aftermath of it. We get to see the last of humanity in these puppets, and it makes me. It's so sad. If you think beyond the movie, it's so depressing. It makes me so sad. It's such a sad story because humanity's dead. There is no hope besides these little guys. And 9 accidentally opens this machine that sucks the soul out of these puppets and faces the repercussions of his actions and watches his new friends die coldly. But putting all the deep concepts aside, this movie is a literal boss rush movie. These guys face foe after foe in the form of a boss rush video game against droids. We had a tiger boss, then a bird boss, a big bird, the baby head centipede boss, and finally the embodiment of technology gone rogue. Basically just AI becomes aware of how terrible humanity is. The most standout scene in this movie has got to be the Somewhere Over the Rainbow scene. This whole movie is so raw, and I'm so glad I watched this as a kid. That scene with 5 running away was the only thing I remember from this movie before watching it. It was so haunting. And everything going in slow-mo and the silence after the music starts playing. It's such a haunting scene that I just vividly remembered as a child. Oh, no, I'm not a child. And the last third of this movie is just letting the sack boys get a peaceful passing on. And the message of humanity was cautionary, yeah, but it was kind of heartwarming watching this scientist change his mind and create these sack boys with his soul. The whole ending is just profound with its message and themes. I give this movie 9 sack boys out of 10. I don't know if you guys could tell, but there are many great things I miss in life. Alright, last movie of the bunch. Ghosts, zombies, witches, angry mobs, and mental health awareness. Call 988. It has everything. God, this movie's such a vibe. It has a lot more melancholic in its tone, unlike the others, but it's also a lot more comedic at the same time. It balances out throughout the movie, so it's fine. The dialogue was surprisingly mature, and the humor was really funny for some parts.
That actually is pretty funny.
Some of the jokes tickled my brains. A stupid joke I remembered as a kid was the DED, dead. It was so silly and simple, and for some reason I never forgot it. It just stuck with me. There's something so magical about these types of stop-motion movies, or just stop-motion movies in general. There's so much heart. It's a lot of effort, so obviously it's a lot more meticulously crafted. I think I said that wrong. Meticulously. I don't care. All right. It feels so timeless, and you can rewatch these at any time in your life. You can watch this as a teen, as a tween, as a child, as an adult. This is honestly just appropriate for all ages, and I mean like actually appropriate for all ages. If you're an adult, you won't like roll your eyes at watching it. It's silly, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. The actual plot itself is nice and fairly paced. The first third of the movie is essentially dealing and setting up with the world of Norman's supernatural abilities and such. The second act of the movie was a zombie movie. I love zombies. I need to make these videos on zombies, some zombie series I know. You guys should throw me some zombie series, whether it's movies, shows, or games to talk about. I love zombies, I really do. Or don't do that, you have some free will. But that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed the second act with a lot of zombies. It tickled my brains. Let that bite sink in. Let that bite sink in. Then the third act involves an elementary witch. This witch had the dark backstory of being executed by grown men who feared her, and that was just sad. That was depressing. I like that they don't try to make these zombies the good guys, or these judges the good guys, or even sympathize with them too much. It shows that they've suffered for their reactions and learned that they were wrong for what they did, and are trying to undo at least 1% of the damage they've caused, and that is so beautifully tragic. These were just absolute peak kid movies, not being afraid of being mature and throw these emotional punches, well, gut punches. I'm sure some of them still do that. Like I recently watched The Wild Robot, and man, The movie is actually more similar to 9 in the way that the robot was replicating the last of humanity. But this isn't about the wild robot, this is about Norman, our special little guy, Norman. Norman is a great main character. This was back when Quirky was in a show-off thing. As shown in the movie, people got murdered for, executed for being weird, a little quirky. So Norman's the weird kid to everyone because, well, he talks to ghosts. I guess talking to imaginary people is weird. Yeah, the characters were also fun. The side characters display different types of comedy. The movie certainly has a certain kind of dry humor, or just slapstick humor, mostly. Like that scene where the townspeople started popping out their guns the second they saw unattacking zombies and kept attacking anyway. Just kept shooting. This was a very American movie and a very American Southern movie. Was it in the South? I don't know. Midwest? I'm not American, guys. All right, you can't. Please let me know in the comment below where this is taking place at. Watching it as an adult, I'm just like, oh, I don't get it. The actual theme of this movie is about well, creativity, being weird, all that stuff. Yeah, but I think the actual underlying theme is the danger of mob mentalities. This movie is literally the danger of mob mentalities. Hey, this movie can age well. Then of course I gotta rate the final boss of the movie, and it goes the hardest out of the bunch. I'll be honest. I don't care for the power of talking and friendship, but that's the whole message of this movie in particular. Fighting against the norm of immediately rushing towards fear and violence. Of course, visually it's perfect with her becoming Electro the Witch. That whole scene was great, including the epic soundtrack that plays in the scene. I think it's an unofficial soundtrack too, because it was too similar to another movie. But it was such a good piece that just starts playing. I was like, oh damn, okay, wow, it got like weirdly gut punchy. And then this movie ends the same way that movie 9 does, with the passing on of souls. I'll be completely transparent with you. I did not actually expect this movie to be the best or my favorite out of the bunch. All these movies equally have heart to me, but this one spoke to me a lot more. And this one was also produced by Laika, which also produced the Coraline stop motion. So kudos to them for all this hard work. It's a little disheartening that people that I know find this stuff creepy and they don't really like watching it. But if your friends are creeped out by these type of movies, take them down, make them watch it with you. I think they'll have a good time by the end, and maybe they'll change their mind. Well, we'll see, right? You'll never know until you try it. Don't quote me on that. Actually, don't do that. In conclusion, what did we learn? I don't know. I originally was going to just watch Coraline for fun, but then I realized that all these movies came inside of a bundle pack of DVDs, and it made me reminisce a little. I got a little nostalgic. I remember these movies quite fondly. I say for fun, but I do have a lot of fun making these videos. See you guys in 100 videos when I want to kill myself. But I wanted to share my love for these movies. They are iconic and easy to watch, and I think we should revive our love for them. So you all get this pretty short video of my love for a piece of my childhood, a little bit of lore, so there's a little bit of catharsis in that. This channel's in a sense a little similar to a diary that you guys can get to be a part of now. Ooh, parasocial. I am kidding though. Get a million feet away from me. Sentimental stuff aside though, as of recording this, ParaNorman is getting a rescreening during Halloween with a sequel short, I believe, which was absolutely crazy timing. If that's not perfect timing, then I don't know what is. But thank you guys for watching. And if you guys want to just more in-depth view of movies I've watched in my childhood, let me know. Now, cue the credits. Oh, and before we cut to the credits fully, my name is Norman, by the way. I just want to let you know that there is no bias and favoritism. See ya.